up, guys? We're back again. We are going to do a February fishing report for Lake Murray. This is 2025 February. We've both been out on the water a good bit, running a bunch of guide trips, so we got a ton of information to go over about a lake that's really changing a good bit right now. As always, we're going to start off just kind of doing lake conditions, what we're seeing. A lot of stuff's changing, like I said. I know Chip was actually out there today. I had two guide trips over the last 2 days. So I was out there yesterday and the day before. We've both been out there on the water a good bit, and the water's coming up. I mean, I know you're seeing that, Chip, as well. I mean, it's like coming up,
coming up quick. I mean, I think we're three. I haven't checked it. I think we're 357 and
357 and some change. So we've come up about 1.5 feet, 2 foot in the last probably week.
Yeah, in the last week and a half, it's come up really fast. Of course, sometimes that can be kind of hurt us a little bit. It can spread the fish out, spread the bait out. But I haven't seen too much of the spreading out like we seen with Helene when it came in September. That really blew them fish all over the place. But these fish have adjusted to that rising water, and I think it's just because the water's been cold, it's warming up, they're getting active, they're not letting much bother them, and they're just feeding. So that's what I've seen. And of course, everybody always, first thing they ask is, what color's the water? What color's the water? It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I think if they had kept the water down and we had all that rain, it would be a lot worse than it is because we'd had those exposed banks and then the rain hitting that clay. Now, don't get me wrong, the Big River's trash. It always is. You got all that flow from Greenwood, but mainly Bush River. Bush River really dirties up. And then, I always say Beaver Dam. Lake Murray actually has three beaver dams. Yeah, and Beaver Dam actually has a lot of flow. The big Saluda Beaver Dam has a lot of mud come out of it. Bush River has a lot of mud come out of it. Turtle Creek, way up there, has a lot of mud come out of it. I'll probably name the stuff people's never heard of up there, but yeah. So there's the Big River's trash. I'm not saying there's not fish there, but if you don't like fishing muddy water, don't go to Big River.
Yeah. And I've even seen it. I've seen it going down towards the dam. I mean, the last, I know I said I had trips the last 2 days. I've had probably 3 or 4 trips, I'd say, in the last 5 days. And, we were kind of from mid-lake area and down. And, it's starting to stain up down there, even kind of towards the lower part of the lake.
It's stain up a little bit. The Little Saluda is nice. We've actually had the Little Saluda has actually been clear all summer. All winter. A lot clearer than it usually is. Well, it's now back to its stain. I think that was Monday. Monday I was out with a group. Excuse me. And there was a very, very defined mud line at the forks. The Big River was muddy. The Little Saluda was not. Now you go way, 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 way up the Little Saluda. Yeah, you're going to see some mud up there. But for the most part, it's stained. It looks really, really good, which bodes well for some crappie guys. Those guys like some color on their water. The Murray crappie are so skittish that, they like a little bit of color. So it kind of blends going into the forks and gets stained down around ramp 4 pretty good. And then there's another definite like brown-blue mud line around the elbow. And then down through there, it kind of back of Buffalo is a little muddy, but the out in front of the marina and the mouth of Buffalo looks really good, and on down the lake looks good. So there's and water temps anywhere from 50 to 52.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing too.
We weren't seeing. We had that little bit of a cold front come in, and waters did get up there in the high 50s a couple weeks ago. But basically they settled back down to where they should be, which is in that low 50 range right now. I haven't even looked at the forecast coming up. We should be sitting there for the foreseeable future until we start getting into March and maybe seeing some warmer water.
Yep. And, kind of down there by the dam, maybe 2 feet visibility. which is, for down there towards the dams, pretty stained up. I put it over there by the dam and kind of ran up the lake from there the last few guide trips. So, foot and a half, 2 foot, 2 feet. And on top of that, too, there is a couple creeks and coves that are still, going to stay historically clear this time of the year and kind of can get out of that, that mud transition. So there is a couple around, but for the most part, it's pretty stained up. With that, then we'll kind of transition into the actual fishing part of the fishing report, and we'll talk about a couple of the different species. I know we'll actually start with crappie because I know today you went out and you did some crappie fishing, and on my trips out there, I've seen a ton of crappie out there suspended, maybe 5 or 10 feet under the water, right there in that like 20 to 30 foot zone. When you kind of are cruising into some of those creeks to go fish for some of the largemouth, I'm seeing them kind of right up there towards the top of the water column. What did you see when you were out there today, and what are some good baits to target them?
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're starting to move into the mouths of these creeks. It's getting ready to be free spawn. The big females are going to move out there in the open water, just like you said. They're going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 foot of water. They are sitting a little bit deeper right now than I like. I long line today, just trolled for them. Most of the fish I was seeing, like you said, was in that 10 to 15 foot range. And you can still get those fish long lining. I like to pull that 0.8, 0.9 miles an hour. And my jigs, I run them 1/16 and 1/32, just singles. And those jigs typically run in that 4 to 6 foot range. So if these fish aren't super aggressive, they usually don't come up and eat. So what you need to do is just slow if you want the long line, slow your troll down, 0.5, 0.6. I know it's a snail's pace when you want the crappie fish, but 0.5, 0.6, let them jigs sink a little bit, put a little extra line out on them. Or you can use some heavier jigs. I don't like bumping up the size of the jig. I like to keep a small jig. Until they get aggressive. When they get aggressive, man, you can throw a 2.5 inch bait out there and they'll just eat it. And I usually can tell when they're starting to get super aggressive because I start catching them when I'm striper fishing. You get those big 2.5 pounders that are coming up eating herring on a free line or a planer board or something like that. But the colors I use today, it's kind of comical. It just goes right in line with Murray crappie. So I had a buddy fishing the same creek with me. He caught his fish on all dark colors. Your blacks and your purples and your dark blues. I caught all my fish, and we're literally fishing a couple hundred yards apart from each other. And I caught all my fish on light colors. Most of my fish today ate like an electric chicken, like a pink chartreuse, and they ate like a pearl with some flake in it. The old money milk, and then like a blue gray, like not like a dark blue, like a navy blue with some gray or silver in it. So that was kind of like a mix of both light and dark. But most of my fish came on the lighter colors, and his came on the darker colors. So these fish still don't know what they want. But yeah, the mouths of the creeks, creek channels, still seeing a little bit of fish on brush. But they are some of the main piles that I checked today that always hold fish did not have any fish on them. So that tells me they are leaving. They are getting out in that open water, starting that pre-spawn, and it won't be long, and it should be on fire here. I don't know. I want to say 2 weeks. I hope so because my crappie trips start really rolling in there about mid-March.
Yeah.
But usually by mid-March they should be on. So we still got a few more weeks on that, but I still just like to keep tabs on them where they're sitting at and so forth.
Yeah. And, I would say a little finicky right now. I'd throw kind of to them when I see them. You'd see a group of like 20 or 30 of them, and you kind of just throw to them, and they're crappy kind of with the way they're acting. That's something that I'm looking at maybe even starting to put into some of these fishing reports is like, I like live scope, but I'm not like a huge, like straight up live scoper. So I, maybe have some like live scope footage of, hey, this is what a crappie looks like. And this is, how to get these type of fish to eat.
People are always wanting info. They just want to see stuff. they're wanting to see what it looks like. And I went live a couple times on my Facebook there, and just to show people what I'm looking at when I'm out there just playing around. And I've had people out there who have never messed with it before, and they look at that and they're like, I would have thought that was bait, but it's the crappie. They're just balled up and they're so tight. And you throw a jig through, and sometimes they blow up, sometimes they don't. But when they blow up, you realize like, oh, that ball had like 100 fish in it. They're just sitting there so tight. But yeah, that's a great, just having extra footage like that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about striper. I mean, I know you've had a good many striper trips too, and you also had a striper tournament. So tell me a little bit about what you're seeing, and I mean, I know you had some good days going up to it, but like with most tournament guys, sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Of course, you know how that always works.
I do. All too well.
Pre-fishing. Well, we had a tournament this past Saturday, and pre-fishing. I went 2 or 3 different places and had typically what we say on Murray is you need 20 pounds, 2 fish weigh in. You need 2 tens, or an 11 and 9, something like that, to feel pretty confident. And I had that leading 2 days before. Thursday, Friday, I had it nailed down. I was like, this should work out pretty good. And of course, I show up tournament morning and the fish are not there. They were gone. I mean, I was just like,
sounds
been
about
here for
right.
2 days and they're gone. I found some around the corner, but they were cookie cutters, 5, 6s. But yeah, so I actually reported out that a lot of fish had pulled out of the rivers. Because the water temp went from 43 to 53 in like a week, and then we're talking the last report, and they did. They actually come down around that ramp forward elbow area, that little stretch right there, and I mean I just whacked on them for like a week straight. I mean, biggest fish that I actually caught we weighed was like 13 and a half. I had 2 hooks straightened out from just one of them was a client tighten to drag, it happens. And the other one, I actually had the fish was peel and drag, and I had a level wind lock up, and that's one thing you hate about big fish and a level wind is when they lock up, sometimes they can't keep up with the fish running. But it locked up, and I actually got to see that fish, and that fish was pushing 18, 20 pounds. So there's still some good ones in Murray. I had a buddy, he caught a 20 last week or 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. A lot of teenagers being caught. So the big fish bite is coming. People just be prepared. It happens. It happens when you're not expecting it. But anyway, so the fish had pulled out of the rivers, but there was still good fish in the rivers. I just think those large numbers of schools just didn't seem to be in the rivers anymore. But come Saturday, there was a lot of fish in the rivers, and I don't know where they come from. They might have just been hiding or whatever. But part of me seems to think that the fish that flooded out of the rivers and went down to like ramps 4 and so, that was like the fish that were in the main part of the say from like Big Man's to Clouds Creek, and then or from like River Winds to Bush River. I think those are the fish that moved down. And I think the fish above them, that say the fish above Hollywood Bridge and the fish above Bush River, if those fish decided to slide down, those were the fish that people were on Saturday. It kind of surprised me the size of fish that was there. So, and maybe it was just me just figuring that first batch came out was all of them, but it wasn't. Right. I actually ran a trip. I guess that my Monday trip, I told you I was coming out of the Little. We went up into the Little and did real well. Even caught some catfish up there, eating, live baits. But the striper, but there's a very, very large population. That same school that would move down to right there around Hawley Canal. That school seems to be somewhere right there. Now they're mixed in between the Elbow and Dreer. Large school there, but they're cookie cutters now. I'm going to tell you, I'm not telling you to go out there and you're going to catch 10 pounders out of it. You're not. But if you let them go out there, have fun. It's a lot of, 18 to 23, 24 inch fish, so you're looking at that 4 to 6 pound range. They're eating pretty much anything you put out there. They're eating gizzards, they're eating herring, they're eating shiners, eating bucktail ice flies still. There's still some schooling going on, a lot of bird action. Just be courteous out there to everybody. If you are out there, don't get run over. There's a lot of people out there running around right now chasing those fish. But yeah, it won't be long, guys. Those fish. So I'll give you a little secret here. So when the rivers are muddy, there's always big fish around Dreher. And I don't know why, but it's always that way. I don't know if it pushes them down or if it's the fish that don't go into the rivers, they just kind of pop up. But I live and die by when the rivers are muddy, there are fish around Dreher. Big fish usually too. So keep that in your pocketbook there. And if you want to go looking for a big fish, you can probably find one around Dreher somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, that's gold right there. So a little bit, I'll jump into bass, do bass real quick, largemouth. Some of the things I'm seeing, obviously the water level has changed a bunch. You know, a month ago and over the last month, we were kind of catching them a little bit deeper. They had finally pushed off when they started pulling the water level down. And we had some really solid deep trips. You know, that being said, the water level has started coming back up. I've since kind of started moving up towards the bank again. You know, mid-range has been solid. There's definitely a good many fish in that mid-range. I feel like that's kind of like the safe bet, right? When you've got volatile water conditions like this, you know, if it pulls down a little bit, there'll probably kind of still be some fish in that mid-range. Water level goes up, there'll still be some in that mid-range. So catching some in that mid-range, and we're also catching them in the dirt, man. We caught, gosh, in the last couple of days, probably 3 or 4 over 4 pounds, like in 2 feet of water or less. Which is pretty crazy.
I've caught some up there shallow.
Yeah, and that's just the water level coming up. Water level, a little bit of stain. The fish want to be shallow. You know, they're up there sunning. We had those really hot days, and they love it. You know, I do expect them to pull back a little bit, but that's why I'm going to kind of play it safe, keep it in the mid range. I think for the next week or two as the conditions kind of stabilize. Also, we had the big moon, right? Big full moon. You know, I said it before. I'll say it again. Kind of a key tip for me is from the largemouth side, especially. Usually, when you have the bigger the moon, I would say that you have a little bit of a smaller bite window. But when you're inside of that bite window, that's when you really get right. It's like we'll have a guide trip, and gosh, we might go like an hour without catching a fish or getting a bite or something like that. But then when that bite window opens up, and you're in one of the right areas on Lake Murray, you'll catch. I think we'd catch 5 or 6 fish and like that. And it's like you do that, 2 or 3, 4 times throughout the course of the day. That's what makes the day. But you see that a lot on your full moons, at least from us on our side. New moon or overcast days, you have a little bit more margin for error, right? You can kind of explore a little bit more and make some mistakes and still have a good day because it's more of a consistent bite. But whenever you get that full moon, bluebird skies, I mean, you have to be in the right place when that bite window opens up, and it's got to be right bait, right place, right time, and then you catch them and you catch them quick. So that's a little bit about what I've been seeing. We've been catching some on crankbaits. We've been catching some fish on worms. We've been catching some on jigs. Kind of the normal Lake Murray stuff. The A-rig's always a player this time of the year. I look for here probably within the next 2 weeks, kind of like what you were saying with crappie. I think it's really good right now as far as catching some big fish. We've had some. I think we had one 2 days ago that was 7, and handfuls of 4 and 5 pound caliber fish over the last, I'd say, week. That being said, I think it's good now, but it's really going to turn on here within the next 2 weeks. I think as far as pre-spawn, true traditional pre-spawn. Once we get through this last little, it's South Carolina, so you never really know. But what I'm going to call probably the last of the real cold weather coming up. I think those fish are going to really kind of make a hard commitment to the bank, especially with the days getting longer, time change coming up. And once that happens, I think it's going to be game time. So we're probably about a week, 2 weeks out from being able to get some solid numbers to go along with the better size. And that's kind of what I'm seeing as far as the bass side. But like I said, lean on worm, crankbait, jig, A-rig. So with that, that's pretty much it for the largemouth. But that being said, I mean, what other conditions or anything else you kind of want to bring up, Chip?
It's well, I'll tell you what, I didn't add in any perch or catfish for y'all. I know some of y'all target those exclusively, but everything's still the same. Catfish are in the channels or channel edges. They did. I have seen them stop eating perch. I ain't saying they're completely stop eating perch, but a couple times in the last few weeks that I've caught some catfish, they're eating gizzards. So go see Midlands up there. Go get you some gizzards. If you want to catch some perch, you can catch some perch. But all the catfish that I've been catching, they're on gizzards. So that's if you don't like to go catch perch, don't waste your time doing it. But if you like to catch perch, just to catch perch, everything's still the same. That 40 to 50 foot window, toughies or spoons, whichever you prefer. There's still some big hammers coming up out of there. Pound a quarter, pound and a half perch. I mean, I keep saying that the next record perch is coming out of Murray, and it's got to. I mean, it's just starting to see these big fish. Relatively speaking for a perch, but I mean they're really really good size. But yeah, I mean other than that, I'm itching. I'm itching for some warm water. I'm itching for some shallow water. I'm itching to get down the lake. I mean I know there's fish down there. I actually got a report. I'll help y'all out some. Got some fishing reports down past shoal on the striper. Fish are gonna be a little bit smaller down there, but there's still a lot of active fish down there right now. So if you don't want to run to the rivers or run up, into the crowd up here, there are fish being caught down the lake. Just the size is a little small. Just have to dig through them a little bit, and you'll find you some keepers. But other than that, yeah, everything's ready to go. Ready to go fishing.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to get some more hot weather, and we're really about to crank it up as far as the bass side for guiding as well. So looking forward to that. One other thing too, I want to bring up. This is a really good, I'd say, like overview of what Lake Murray is looking like, conditions, and just kind of getting you pointed in the right direction. A couple baits that are productive, and some stuff to look for. We are looking. I've talked with Chip a little bit. We're looking at maybe doing like an in-depth, like a next level for people who are always on the water and really kind of want like that next level, like insight, right? Even maybe some specific spots, not anything like in particular where it's like this waypoint right here has fish, but like this part of the lake inside of this creek, this is what you look for, and like do a detailed map breakdown and stuff like that. So we're looking at doing something like that, maybe through like a fish tips platform. Like I said, not really looking to do like the whole like waypoint selling deal, more like the instructing and teaching from people who are always on the water. But that's something that we're looking into. If that's something that you guys are interested in, let us know. We haven't really made our mind up 100% yet if we want to commit a bunch of time to doing that, but we definitely want to at least get something out there to you guys to let you know about the lake, let you know how the fish are doing, and let you know what we're seeing. So with that, we obviously appreciate it. We appreciate all the support. We've gotten a bunch of good messages from everybody here in the community, and look forward to continuing to do these for a while. So with that, for Chip, we will see you in the next one.